No vaping.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Optimus Fantasy Football. I am Nate Polvogt. I am joined by my right-hand man, Mr. Lou Brunson, and my co-host of the Waiver Wire Show every Monday, Mr. Evan Sather. Guys, this is the debut of the Optimus Dynasty Show. We've been doing all sorts of different things for you guys. We have not really had much of a Dynasty presence, which is crazy, Lou, considering we pour over rankings all off-season. We're constantly following this stuff, but we've had other stuff in the works.
Just a little bit. One or two things.
Just a few things. Evan, how are you doing today, man? Are you excited about getting into the dynasty aspect of this since we've just been focusing on redraft for the last few months?
It's understandable that we'd focus on the redraft portion, but yeah, I mean, I consider my bread and butter in fantasy football to be dynasty, so this is definitely my cup of tea. Not that I'm drinking it right now.
Well, I mean, given that we're so deep in the industry, I think everyone who's in this industry plays some dynasty, right? But also a lot of people, I have an old friend, an old roommate from 25 years ago who's been playing in the same dynasty league on MFL for 20 years. They have mostly the same people still in it. It's a 16-team dynasty league. And we're here to talk about more of that. And if you're watching this and you've never played dynasty before, the simple explanation is Madden on dynasty mode or franchise mode, you get to build a team and keep it. You can make the moves, you can make trades, but once you've drafted that team in the startup, that is your team. It is your team to manipulate, to trade, to drop, to add. That's the biggest difference. Now, when we're forecasting this, guys, Lou, what would you say the biggest difference is when we're forecasting dynasty for you?
The biggest difference is that I'm not just thinking about this season, right? So you've got guys who maybe that you don't expect a ton out of them this year, but projecting out, you can reasonably expect them to either vastly improve or get worse, as you know, in some cases, which we're going to talk about a little later. But that really ties a lot more into it. So you get things like a lot of dynasty players are obsessed with how old their players are and that sort of thing. And we'll definitely touch on all of this throughout this show, as well as others throughout our series throughout the year.
Yeah, and I'm going to say one of my favorite things about Dynasty is rookie drafts, Evan. You did a rookie mock draft earlier in the mock draft show cycle here, before we kind of got into the redraft cycle of things. With Dynasty and with rookie drafts, anybody who's considering playing Dynasty, do you have any advice if they're maybe nervous about the idea of having to scout these guys, pay more attention to them?
I wouldn't say it's anything worth stressing about, because even though people say that Dynasty runs year-round, 12 months a year, it's really not, because depending on the league settings of your Dynasty league, trading is probably turned back on once the championship happens, but free agent acquisitions are not until after the draft. So you really don't have a lot to worry about since, and you have plenty of months to get by and watch the NFL draft and see where certain guys go and who's going to be good for your dynasty rookie team. Even then, you could make a case to follow ADP in your dynasty rookie draft if you really don't know what you're doing, and you'd be okay. Just depending on what needs you're trying to fill. I over the last few years, I've seen running backs go, even if people don't believe that this certain 6th round running back is going to be any value, just grab him anyway and see if he turns into anything by preseason. So I could go on and on and on about this all day, but to answer your question, Nate, no, it's not worth getting nervous about. It's different, but it adds maybe another layer or two above redraft where, you know, people care about regular fantasy football from September through December, where here you're just adding a little more to it, and it's nice.
Yeah, and you know, if you're thinking about playing Dynasty, these elements make you nervous. You're not alone, right? The first time I played Dynasty, I was nervous as hell. I was like, I don't know what to do here. Like, this is a lot, and it's overwhelming. I've been a redraft guy playing in standard scoring leagues for 24 years at the point when I started playing Dynasty. But, Lou, we have something to help those people, don't we?
Yeah, we have our Discord server. And I want to know if you've joined our free Discord server, and if you haven't, why not? We've got people like me, Nate, Evan, and a gaggle of other Optimus folks ready at literally any hour of the day to help you with all of your pressing fantasy football questions, commiserate on your bad beats, and just generally hang out like we're doing now. And I know the last thing you need is another Discord server to get a bunch of notifications from. And we are not about that life. Our goal is to help you get notified about the things that you are interested in and nothing else. So come hang out. Be sure to say hi and make sure to @ me when you do.
And don't forget, if you're interested, go down into the show description, check out our Discord server. It's not just Dynasty. We've got Redraft, links to all of our content, our articles, our videos on TikTok and other social platforms. Make sure you come check out that Discord server. Lou's there all the time. I'm there as much as I can. I know Evan loves to kick around in there as well. But now, guys, let's get into the meat of the show here. Let's get to our, this is, I mean, really, here's the way I'm going to put it. This is our nerd hour. This is where we get to really geek out about the stuff that we follow, that we're paying attention to, that we're listening and we're seeing. We're going to start with rookie running backs. Lou.
Yeah.
There's a whole slew of guys. We have some guys too. The first one I really want to talk about is Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt on this list, because there's been so much hype behind him, not just from a dynasty standpoint, but from a redraft standpoint too, especially when the team decided to move on from Brian Robinson Jr., trade him to the San Francisco 49ers. And I want to ask both of you this. Looking at this team, the team that Dan Quinn has built with Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, they're trying to get younger. They're trying to improve their defense. Is a guy like Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, do you think there's a future for him, or are we just getting way too excited about a guy that's probably never going to be more than like a Tank Bigsby, Lou?
Yes, I think it's a bit of both, actually. And in Dynasty, you can have situations like that literally all the time. I think if you are looking at in terms of 2025, especially, and you are looking for that instant production, I can plug him in as, plug and play running back week in and week out, you are going to be sorely disappointed. And in Dynasty, that doesn't necessarily hurt as much. However, Dynasty's become a much faster game now, where people are going to turn and burn their rosters a lot faster. They're going to lose faith in prospects and move on. We've seen this with quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, that sort of thing. People dropped them, left them for dead, and then they resurface years later. I think with Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, what we could see is a disappointing 2025 relative to expectations. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to have times where he does really well, but overall disappoint. And however, I think for 2026 and possibly beyond, obviously it's a little tough to forecast and tell the future, but he could return more coming down the road than he will this year, and considerably more. Okay.
Now, Evan, let's say that you've got someone in a league, you're looking to get some depth at running back. What are you willing to give up to get a guy like Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt? God, that's a tongue twister. On your roster right now.
So the short answer is it depends. Haha, my favorite phrase from Lou. But for the vast majority of leagues, if I'm not ultra desperate at running back, Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, people need to know on the unofficial depth chart that the Commanders released the other day, JCM is listed as the Commanders running back 4 on their respective depth chart. He's behind Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, and Chris Rodriguez. He's buried on the depth chart right now. He needs to make a case to climb his way up. I do not want to spend more than a 4th round draft pick in dynasty leagues in order to get JCM on my roster. I believe I'm in pretty much on the same page as Lou as far as he goes. I don't believe he's anything more than just a Brian Robinson potential replacement as a late round pick who could possibly be just another platoon back that the Commanders want to roll out. I don't believe he's ever going to become a bell cow that's going to be a top 10 running back ever in the future. The Commanders have always had their platoon backs. They love utilizing 2 or 3 running backs depending on game script. They're not interested in finding a Derrick Henry. That's the way they're operating their offense right now. So don't overspend on JCM just because Brian Robinson got traded to the 49ers.
And I think this is something you're going to hear a lot on this show. If you're listening, if you're watching, we're going to talk about a lot of these players that are getting so hyped, and we're going to tell you probably not to overspend on some of them. But Lou, something I want to ask you, when we're looking at these running backs, especially rookie running backs, we're trying to figure out what we think they're going to do, what's going to happen. Historically, what are you looking at to kind of figure this out here?
There's no one answer here. And that's one of the really awesome things that I love about Dynasty is that there's a lot of ways to be right and there's a lot of ways to be wrong too. And we are going to be a lot, both right a lot and wrong a lot. So one of the things, I mean, the biggest predictor of success for any running back is the ability to play, whether that's in terms of health or just opportunity. We see, guys who we may consider middling prospects, but because they get the ability to actually be on the field, where guys that we would consider a superior prospect are buried on the depth chart, because that lesser talent is actually on the field, he's producing and can do well. I'm looking at you, James Robinson, who came out of nowhere to turn in a beautiful season or two and then did absolutely nothing afterwards because he was still James Robinson. I mean, that's it in a nutshell right there. So if you can get on the field, especially as a running back, that is the most important thing far and away.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, volume is king, right? And that's in any format that you're playing. But in Dynasty, that's something you want to look for. Something you can find using our tools. Code week1 gets you 50% off your first month. You do have the ability. You can look at some of these players' snap shares, the red zone stats, like what kind of share are they getting of red zone touches. And if like players like, I can't think of a name off the top of my head right now, but Curtis Samuel last season, saw a bump because of injury, right? So the analysis shows his snap share is going up, his red zone attempts are going up, he's getting a lot more opportunity, right? Now, with a veteran, that doesn't matter, but if you're seeing that with a rookie early on in the season, what does that tell you?
I mean, if it's all about those trends, right? Because you can have a 1 week bump up due to a situation like, the score is way out of whack, right? Like one team is just absolutely blowing out the other. Coaches decide, all right, let's get the rook some run, that sort of thing, but it doesn't actually matter. If you're in one of those, 1 to 1.5 score games, maybe 10 points, and all of a sudden that rookie's starting to get more touches, maybe it's on third down, maybe it's closer to the goal line. Those are the ones that are really indicative to us as fantasy analysts that this is a guy that coaches trust and want to see more of. And especially when it comes to those red zone and goal line touches, that those are the ones that are going to score us as fantasy players, more points. So if they're continuing to bump up in that kind of usage, those are big indicators for us.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's get into this actual rookie class. It's an interesting class. It's in my opinion, it's very top heavy. Evan, with this rookie class, where are the tier breaks for you? Like who are your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 guys out of the guys that we're really looking at and interested in Dynasty right now?
Before I answer that, Nate, we've got 4 questions in the chat.
Yes.
Do we want to get to those a little later?
Yeah, we'll get to those. We'll get to the questions after we roll through our first segment. Probably should have said something about it earlier. And guys, if we don't get to your questions, head over to Discord. We can definitely answer them there.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Back on topic. Tier breaks right now. So as far as rookie running backs go, I only want to immediately put top tier value on Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton. And the reason I say that is because Hampton is getting the start over Najee Harris in the Friday night game against the Chiefs. So as far as I'm concerned, Jeanty and Hampton are the must-have guys in tier 1. TreVeyon Henderson, RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson, I guess we'll throw Quinshon Judkins in there, are my second tier, being that they're going to be splitting the backfield until they earn more, with the exception of Judkins. I believe he has yet to sign his second-round contract. I don't believe he's going to be suiting up on Sunday against the Bengals. And then we also have Bashal Tutin, Taj Brooks, actually, I'd put Scadaboo in the third tier, along with Tutin and Blue, along with Taj Brooks, being that they're the RB3s on their respective depth charts who are expected to get some good change of pace volume. And then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, until he proves that he belongs in that third tier, is at the bottom, being that he's RB4 on that depth chart. And it doesn't seem like the Commanders are ready to praise this guy. They want this guy to earn that role. So that's where I have it right now. Jeanty and Hampton are the guys. Everybody else, well, they got to prove themselves.
Lou, how do you feel about that? Are you on the same page as Evan here?
More or less. I only have Jeanty in the top tier. There is such a gulf between him and everyone else, partly because of opportunity. As everyone and their brother has talked about, Zamir White is not going to be stealing any touches from Ashton Jeanty.
As we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, he's there to, Jeanty breaks off yet another 45-yard run, and Zamir White's going to be in there for a play or two to let Jeanty catch his breath, that sort of thing. And I know that Hampton right now has been declared the starter. I mean, that's great. It's still John Harbaugh. You can trust him if you want. I'm pumping the brakes a little bit there. Najee Harris is still a better running back than we as the fantasy community like to acknowledge. And he is the type of running back that Harbaugh falls in love with. So it may not be week one because Harris is still coming back from that eye issue, which don't play with fireworks, kids. But it's still going to happen more often than we'd like this season. So I still have him in that second tier with the others, the Judkins, Henderson, Harvey, Johnson, which if anybody is panicking about Caleb Johnson at this point, you need to stop. You need to slow your roll. This is Dynasty. This is not redraft. Redraft, it's valid. Okay. I understand the worry. But for Dynasty, just woo-saw it out, breathe it out. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think my biggest difference between you guys is I've got Quinshon Judkins back in that third tier. I don't believe that he is going to start anytime soon. And I do believe that once they do actually get him signed, it's going to be 3, 4, 5 weeks before they're really ready to give him any sort of significant work. And then from there, you've got to worry about the culture, right? He already got himself in trouble going to a team that harbors troublemakers for lack of a better way to say it, right? Like the culture in this locker room in Cleveland is not great. It's not great. And you got a kid who's already in trouble, hasn't even taken a snap in the NFL. I don't trust him, and I overdrafted him before all the trouble happened, but I've got to back him out here. I think my second tier really is going to be TreVeyon Henderson, RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson. Bashal Tootin is a close one for me, though, because I really do believe that he's going to very quickly overtake Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I just think he's a better back. And I know there's been some pushback on that, but that's where I'm at with this. And Jaden Blue, I think, is up there with Bashal Tootin for me. If you really look at that Dallas backfield, Javonte Williams, Slime Sanders, both of those guys are toast. I want
to add something onto what you're saying there too, Nate. Just because a backfield looks terrible on paper doesn't mean the shiny new rookie is going to prevail in it. And that's the one thing I want to temper people's expectations for guys like Bashal Tootin and Jaden Blue. Just because they're back there in a iffy backfield in Jacksonville and Dallas does not mean they're going to overtake anything by the end of the season. They need to prove themselves too, that they can hold their weight in the NFL level against starters and be the guy that they want to trust in the future. So I wouldn't go out of my way to be rostering these guys at the end of your, I know this is a Dynasty show, but not, especially at the end of your redraft benches. Don't go rostering them right away. But if you drafted them or picked them up for free in Dynasty, they are perfectly fine holds. Just don't go crazy in the first couple of weeks thinking, oh, they're going to be overtaking their backfields. Because if they don't, give it time. It's a waiting game, right?
Yeah, 100% it's a waiting game. And that's when we're talking about these prospects. I mean, that's obviously, I'm not starting Bashal Tootin anytime soon, right? But I was getting him in the 4th round of rookie drafts. I can taxi him this year and hold. And that's what I'm looking at. I guess a good time to say this. That's what I'm looking at with these third tier guys in any like rookie position. When we're talking about these guys, these third tier guys are guys I want on my taxi squad. My tier 2 guys are guys that I don't want to put on taxi because I think they're going to be relevant at some point this season and I might need them. This tier 1 guys, I'm firing them up week 1. And for me, that's Jeanty and Hampton are the only 2 here.
Yep.
And I'm not even doing Hampton week 1 because it's Kansas City.
Their defense isn't that good, though, Lou.
They're good, but they're not great. They are beatable on the ground. You just have to scheme it well.
Yeah.
But they're tough.
I mean, we'll talk more about this on Sunday. We're going to have plenty of start sit information at 9 a.m. Eastern here. All right, we're going to move on real quickly here. We're going to get some questions first because we've got some of those here in the chat. We'll get to this first one. Kyle Siebert Audio. He's got a start two question, guys. We'll start with Evan on this one. Shakir, Coleman, Myers, Ollie Gordon. He has Josh Allen. Which two are you starting?
It's like I said on the waiver wire show on Tuesday. I hate these generalized pick two questions because I have no idea what Kyle's league looks like. I have no idea what your scoring is or what you're trying to accomplish with your lineup at the moment. But I hate these in a vacuum style questions. So now that I've gotten that part out of the way, I don't know why you're rostering Ollie Gordon at this point. He's not getting RB1 work because what's his face? Devon Achane is playing on the Miami game is on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Right. But Achane is playing. He's going to be the bell cow. Ollie Gordon is not getting significant volume. So you got Khalil Shakir. I'm guessing that's Keon Coleman and Jacoby Myers. If those are your only four options, I'd say Shakir and Myers if I really have to close my eyes and pick two.
Yep. Lou, any disagreement there?
Nope. It's Shakir's going to see the volume. I like Coleman, but it's that Baltimore defense. If they're going to take someone away, it's Coleman. And with Amari Cooper's retirement, as just came out earlier today, Myers is going to get that much more work. Not that I thought Cooper was going to take that much, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But still. We got Robert Mitchell Prophet in the chat saying, hello, guys. Robert's great to see you. We've got Jaden wondering if he should drop Darnell Mooney for Dante Thornton over in Las Vegas with the Amari Cooper news. I'm going to say no. I would hold on to Mooney. We know that he's going to see volume in Atlanta. Lou, you're shaking your head over there.
Yeah, I just if this was Dynasty, I would consider it. I would also say Mooney is going to be an asset that you can actually trade for something. We kind of hope that Thornton is, but we're not sure of it. So pretty much any format, I'm saying you're sticking with Mooney.
All right. Yep, I'm with you on that. I think we all are in agreement here. Evan, you seem like you're shaking your head. Yes.
All right, we're going to get your head earlier.
kind of saw. All right, we've got Aaron Hudson here. He's got a question. Full PPR 10-man league. Quarterbackers are Joe Burrow and Drake May. He's got Devon Achane as his running back, as well as Kenneth Walker, Tank Bigsby, Caleb Johnson, and the footless Joe Mixon. Wide receiver, we've got CeeDee Lamb, Ladd McConkey, Davante Adams, Ted McMillan, Jordan Addison, Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney. Any moves I should make or any advice on this roster? First of all, get rid of Joe Mixon. Find someone else to take that roster spot. That's the first thing I do. Otherwise, Lou, I really like this roster.
Yeah, that's really about it. I mean, maybe you don't need to roster Drake May because you've got Joe Burrow and you're never, ever going to start Drake May over Joe Burrow, ever.
Not ever. But if you can move him for something.
So if you can move him for something, great. But if there's someone that I want on the waiver wire that's going to help me at a different position, I don't have any problem cutting May loose either. In addition to Joe Mixon. Mixon is first. Get rid of him first. If there is still someone after that move, May is your next one.
Okay. Yep. Evan, what do you think?
If you can hold Mixon in an IR slot for a little while, I'm fine with that. But, I mean, I hope you don't come across a lot of injuries. But at some point, if your roster gets beat up and you have to drop Mixon, yeah, that would be a good time to do so. I don't know if this is a one-quarterback league, but, yeah, like Lou already said, don't roster Drake May behind Joe Burrow. You don't need to roster two quarterbacks in a one-quarterback league. If May's still available on the waiver wire or somebody near him in any given tier, you can just stream that guy during Burrow's bye week. You don't need to hold him. So, yeah, if you can't trade May to like a Patriots homer or whoever, just go ahead and drop him. You don't need him. And outside of that, the only other thing I'll say about questions like these is that there's no miracle solution for what move should I make or any advice on this roster because outside of what we already suggested, there's no such thing as, here's this miracle move that you must make to win your league. It doesn't work that way.
I wish.
Totally, right?
We try. We do try.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to the next one here. We've got Tron Force. He's got Barkley going tonight. Was going to drop Dylan Sampson to pick up Will Shipley's insurance. I wouldn't bother with that. No. I'd keep Dylan Sampson.
No.
Because
if you know that Saquon Barkley is going to get hurt? Yes, absolutely do that. And also, may I please have the winning lotto numbers since you clearly know the future?
God, I wish. Right? Yeah. I know people are hot on Will Shipley. I don't really get it unless you've got Saquon Barkley and you really, really need to handcuff it. Like you're real worried about it. I'm not. I mean, I'm not at all. Dylan Sampson, however, could end up as the starting running back in Cleveland in like 2 weeks because it's Cleveland and you just never know. Yay, I guess. Tron Force has got another one. He also has to drop 2 players for a kicker and a defense this weekend. Who would we drop out of Jerome Ford, Hollywood Brown, and Dylan Sampson?
Hollywood.
Lou, you Hollywood? Evan says Hollywood.
Yeah. I'm dropping Hollywood and Sampson if I have to drop 2.
Yeah, agreed.
Like Ford's getting first crack at the starting job, so you have to roll with him. Yeah, it's Hollywood and Sampson.
Yeah, same with me. Same with me. All right,
guys, come on.
Come on. Eric Anders has got this question for us. Would you trade Rashee Rice for Caleb Johnson in a half PPR 12-team league? He's down bad at running back 2, but is loaded with top options at receiver like Metcalf, Tet McMillan. Slow down your roll on loaded with top options with Tet McMillan, Malik Nabers, and T. Higgins. Evan, I see you kind of, you don't like it, shaking your head no here.
I wouldn't. I mean, Caleb Johnson, listen, I love Caleb Johnson. I love his prospect. I drafted him in the first round of my own Dynasty League, but I'm assuming this is a half PPR 12-team redraft league we're talking about here.
Yep.
This is not a trade you need to make right now. I understand the worry with Rashee Rice being suspended for 6 games, but yeah, I like your wide receiver room. They look good. I love Tet McMillan even as a rookie, but don't go crazy with don't go crazy with the mentality of, I got all these wide receivers. I must trade one to strengthen my running backs. Don't rush into that. Take your time with that. Wait for the right offer. Play the waiver wire too. You never know who's going to step up on it that nobody drafted. You don't have to rush into that, Eric. Don't worry. Don't panic. Take your time. You may be down bad at RB2 to start the season, but it's not going to be that way once you get into like October.
Well, and plus in a half PPR league, you're loaded at wide receiver. When you get Rashee Rice back, you're even more loaded at wide receiver. I think you can weather it through 6 weeks to get Rashee back. I would not trade him for Caleb Johnson. There's just no return on that at all. I want to highlight this one for Mr. Doug Royer. Where's Casey Kasem? I know she's with you, Doug. She is with you. You guys were on a cruise, but you're back in time for the Cowboys tonight, which, I mean, I don't know if you should be excited about that or not. I guess we're kind of on the fence here. Let's move on, though. Just talking about wide receivers, we're going to move on to sophomore wide receivers. This is an interesting class to look back at after their rookie season. Malik Nabers, Xavier Worthy, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette, and Jordan Whittington. I'm sad that Malachi Corley's not on this list, but he doesn't even have a damn team right now.
He does. He's on the Browns. He's on their practice squad.
Oh, I did not know they re-signed him to the practice squad. So
yeah.
He's technically on a team. Lou, out of this group in 2025, and this is a pretty loaded group of second-year wide receivers, who takes the biggest step forward?
The biggest step? Oh, boy. In terms of biggest step forward, that's a relative question, right? Because you've got guys like Ricky Pearsall. And
just in overall, who takes the biggest jump in rankings?
Yeah. I really think that you're looking at Ricky Pearsall as the biggest mover when all is said and done. That doesn't mean that I like him better than Rome Odunze or Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Nabers. I don't like him better than those guys at the end of the year, but that's just because Pearsall has so much more ground to make up. I think when all is said and done at the end of this year, we view him as kind of the 1B to George Kittle's 1A as the top pass catching offense in San Francisco, especially with, we can see the end of Kittle's career kind of coming down the road. Maybe not immediately, obviously. We really like him right now, but Father Time is undefeated. And same thing with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, who catches a lot of passes. Like, this offense is going to be changed very, very soon, probably starting this year. And I think Pearsall is the going to be the focal point of that. As even with guys like Juwan Jennings, who are still there, quality, Brandon Ayuk, if he's able to come back and get back healthy to what he was prior to tearing up his knee. It's really, Pearsall's that guy that if I can get him for any sort of discount at all right now, that is a move I want to be making.
No, I like that. And I don't think we're going to see Brandon Ayuk come back to form. That knee injury, you don't see guys come back from that. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. Evan, on your list, is it Ricky Pearsall for you? Do you think he makes the biggest leap, or you got someone else on this list?
If we are measuring this by where they finish in wide receiver PPR rankings, yes, I think it's absolutely going to be Ricky Pearsall, hands down, because the guy barely got to play last year after being a victim of gun violence in San Francisco, in addition to being a first-round draft pick that the 49ers are going to want to chuck the ball to see if he works out. He was a late first-round draft pick last year, and you don't spend that much capital on a guy for him to ride the bench and be like, nah, we're just going to play Juwan Jennings more. Yeah. No, Jennings will still get his field time, but they're going to want to get Pearsall out there, which will probably hurt the opportunities that Jennings got last year. Having Brandon Ayuk out also will do the same, which I don't know if I'm ready to go as far as to say that he's not coming back from that knee injury as the same wide receiver, but Pearsall will easily win that. You could also make an argument for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze because they not climbed up the depth chart necessarily, but they're going to get more chemistry with their starting quarterbacks, and they're going to get more opportunity to do more, but it's not going to look as exciting as somebody like Ricky Pearsall, who's going to make a case for like most improved player, even though that award is like, well, what does that really mean? So yeah, I think I'm with Lou. I think it's Pearsall.
So nobody's going to pick Jordan Whittington, huh? Man, you guys aren't fun. I'm with you. I think it's Ricky Pearsall for me. Odunze though, I think Odunze is going to take a pretty big leap too in this Chicago offense.
My second.
Yeah, he's my second as well. And I think my third one is probably going to be, I'm hoping it's Marvin Harrison Jr. We got to see more out of him.
I'm not betting on it.
I'm not either, really. On it. Is he?
And that's not on Marvin. That's on Kyler.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is on Kyler. I mean, he can throw the ball to Trey McBride, but if you can't see the guy downfield, how are you supposed to throw it to him? Short joke. All right, we're going to move on now. But seriously, I think with Ladd McConkey really can't move up any farther. He already made the leap last year. We know he's the wide receiver one in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Xavier Worthy is one too. I just don't think he's going to move much. I don't think we're not going to see a role increase for him. I don't think anything really is going to change.
With the way the
Chiefs...
Not in
that offense.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, Lou. Like, with the way the Chiefs do their offense, I don't see an opportunity for Worthy to all of a sudden be the de facto wide receiver one just because he's there. I think that's the problem with the way a lot of people in the fantasy football community analyze guys like them, is that they just go, well, nobody's behind him, and therefore it must be Xavier Worthy season. But Xavier Worthy is a deep threat guy, and occasionally a possession guy that they like to get the ball in the hands of, but the offense with the way the Chiefs run is, I don't want to say arbitrary, but it's very vanilla, unoriginal, and it struggles a lot because they have Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator helping out Andy Reid, where you're just going to see a lot of wide receiver flat routes and running back draws, and it's not exciting. It works just based on the talent that they have, but that offense lost them that Super Bowl last year, and I'm going to stand by that. So, no, I don't think Xavier Worthy is going to leap that much from his wide receiver 33 season in PPR. I think he'll be a fine wide receiver 2 in your lineups if you choose to keep him, but 59 catches on 98 targets, I don't see a big leap from that.
He makes me think of like Jaden Reed. We got excited about Jaden Reed, but he's more of like a tool player or like a gadget player. You're going to run like jet sweeps with him and do stuff like that. But you can only do that 1 or 2 times a game. And Juju Smith-Schuster is still on this roster. He's listed as a wide receiver 2 right now. And I know that's insane, and I'm not saying that there's anything to that. But what I'm saying is that with Chiefs receiving core, it's Travis Kelce.
Almost threw up in my mouth there.
I know.
But there is something to that though, because of how Kansas City schemes their offense. And this is not necessarily a Nagy thing. This is a Reed thing. And they don't just go to, they don't silo everything through their top two guys, right? They get, their fifth wide receiver, their seventh wide receiver, their third tight end, all these guys involved. And it's really, really tough to see, because I love Xavier Worthy as a prospect, as a player. I think he's really talented, and in another scheme on another team, heck, on the Chargers, I think he would probably be the wide receiver one, even over Ladd McConkey in that team, because Justin Herbert can just do amazing things with the ball. But because he's on Kansas City and the way they run their offense, he's just, I don't even think he's necessarily a wide receiver 2 on your team. Maybe value wise he is, but as far as your starting lineup, it's really tough to look at him above that wide receiver 3 tier.
I completely agree. The only way that I feel like I can consistently start Xavier Worthy is if they're playing a secondary that doesn't cover the ball deep well. I think they'll go to Worthy in that situation all day. But people seem to forget, and we're old enough to remember, the three of us here, when Andy Reid was the head coach of the Eagles, did the same thing. There was not a consistent wide receiver 1 on any of those teams. They had all these guys that played a specific role in the offense. And when I bring up Juju Smith-Schuster, he's that underneath guy, right? And what does Patrick Mahomes love doing? Throwing underneath the safeties. He does it constantly. And Juju Smith-Schuster's jam is getting in underneath the safeties, especially in a soft zone. He does it very, very well. He's going to get volume. We can all laugh and throw up in our mouths, and I hate it, and you hate it, and Evan hates it. Everyone watching the show hates it. But the fact of the matter is an Andy Reid offense isn't going to feature one guy. Hollywood Brown could be a wide receiver 2 in your starting lineups in fantasy if he was on some other teams. But in Kansas City, again, he's a guy who I might think about flexing him if I absolutely have to, where there's a week where his skill set lines up with it. But that's just not the kind of offense Kansas City is. And we can be as excited as we want about Xavier Worthy. And I think part of the problem is everyone's waiting for Andy Reid's next Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
That was a once-in-a-lifetime deal for Andy Reid. He is never, ever going to feature a wide receiver the way that he featured Tyreek Hill. It's never going to happen. I don't care how fast the guy is. Tyreek Hill's a freak.
Well,
he's an
they have a
athletic freak.
defense now and Kansas City has the defense now that they can rely on, where they didn't have that in the Tyreek Hill days. So they had to light up the scoreboard. They had to score 35, 40, 45 points every week to win these games, 35, 31, that sort of thing. They don't have to do that anymore. They're out here playing Cincinnati 18, 16, games where shenanigans are happening at the end because it's Kansas City, and they are perfectly content to win that way because they win. If they weren't winning, it would be different. So if something changes, all this goes out the window, right? However, until that changes, we don't have any reason to think that it will. This is what Worthy is. And this is part of Dynasty, unfortunately, is, throwing cold water on these prospects that we loved coming up and coming in. And then they get here and it's...
Well, I think Dynasty managers sometimes tend to forget that real football is way different than fantasy football. And in real football world, Xavier Worthy is going to be on this team for a long time. They're going to re-sign him. They're going to give him contracts. But this is probably his ceiling unless they change coaching staffs, which that's not happening anytime soon, not until Andy Reid decides to retire. And he doesn't look like he's ready to retire anytime soon. So this is what we live with in Kansas City. It's hard to trust their wide receivers at any given point. I love this comment here. I just want to toss this one up here. The only other stud wide receiver Andy Reid relied on was Terrell Owens, and that was 2004.
Yep, that's my brother Ryan. Thank you for the comment, my bro.
Yep, he's got you. Well, guys, I think we're going to move on to veterans, but before we do, we've got a bunch more questions in the chat here, and I'd love to get to these. We have got, let's get over here. I got to get to my, there we go. Canelo here. Would you trade Trey McBride for Rice? We're going to say Rashee Rice, Jalen Warren, and a second-round pick. Actually, I need to know, is that Jalen Warren or Tyler Warren? Probably Tyler Warren.
That right there.
Yeah. Tyler Warren.
I hope it's Tyler Warren.
Yeah. What do you think, Evan?
I wouldn't do it. Trey McBride is a top 3 tight end that's not moving down from that top 3 status for a very long time. Those guys do not come along easily. Tight ends are not rare, but they're very sparse as far as getting solid PPR volume out of them. Especially, well, I mean, it doesn't sound like Canelo's in a tight end premium league where you're going to have more value on lesser, I say in air quotes, tight ends. So no, I would absolutely not do this trade. I would not trade away Trey McBride. I would hold him.
Yeah, go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, I think it depends here. If you know that you are entering, if you've been a contending team and you know that you're kind of starting that downslope of, okay, I pushed my chips in the middle and I either won my championships, which awesome if you did. But now you're kind of coming off that. Your roster's getting a lot older. You've got some guys where you can see the end coming. I'm a lot more inclined to entertain the trade in something like that, where I can trade Trey McBride off for these younger, high quality pieces. I'm not a huge fan of Tyler Warren. However, we love our young stud tight ends. I mean, people still love Kyle Pitts for no good reason. Tyler Warren, he could do nothing, and he's going to do the same kinds of things in people's minds because he's Tyler freaking Warren. And say what you want to say about Rashee Rice and his suspension, when he's on the field, dude is ultra productive, soaking up all those ridiculous underneath targets from Mahomes in that Kansas City read offense. So if you are that team who's looking to rebuild or retool, I understand it. I'm never going to like moving off Trey McBride. I think he is absolutely bonkers at tight end. And I get it if you need to.
He's a guy. Trey McBride is a guy you build around, not a guy you trade away to rebuild.
Yes. This is what I'll say. Friend of the show, Andrew Cooper, over there at Fantasy Alarm, the tight end whisperer. He and I have had conversations about this, and I completely agree with him. What you're looking for in your top tier tight ends are guys who are the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 on their own team. Trey McBride is the wide receiver 1 in Arizona. No one's going to debate that. Marvin Harrison is stuck in some sort of rut, just not getting used with Kyler Murray. It's Trey McBride. Can we say that about Tyler Warren?
Maybe.
Highly unlikely.
He needs to prove himself.
Why? Let me ask you why. What of the guys that are there right now? Why not? Because of Josh
Daniel
Downs?
Jones.
Oh, absolutely. I'll take nothing away from you there. Like, Daniel Jones is the worst, the absolute worst. And please go out and buy Anthony Richardson, because we will be seeing him this year.
Oh, we will.
But regardless, I mean, if the point is only who's the wide receiver, the tight end who's the wide receiver 1 on their team, I'm not going to, shoo you away from making that point about Tyler Warren.
I don't think he's the wide. I think it's Josh Downs, wide receiver 1. I think it's going to be hard for Steichen to move off of Pittman as a wide receiver 2, as that second target, especially with a rookie like Tyler Warren. And they've had tight ends in this system that are very talented tight ends that they didn't use last year. You can't get Jelani Woods on the field. Mo Alley Cox, for whatever you want to say for him, is a pretty quality pass catching tight end. They just didn't use these guys last year. And I don't know. I think it was a mystery to a lot of people that Indy even took Tyler Warren. I found it to be quite strange. I didn't understand what they were doing when they had a perfectly good Jelani Woods at home. I'm always gonna be mad about Jelani Woods.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
He's my tight end. He's my tight end, Laviska Shenault. All right.
What can I say?
Right.
Hey, we've all got one.
I wouldn't make this move. I think Trey McBride is a guy who's going to be tight end 1, 2, or 3 for the next 10 seasons. It's just the way it is.
Fair move. I think it's a fair move, but it's not a move that feels good. Let me put it that way.
Yep. And
I still wouldn't do it, but yeah.
I wouldn't do it either. But if you have to, I get it. But I don't know why you'd have to, I guess. We're going to go to Aaron Hudson here. In redraft, would you rather roster Dylan Sampson, Trey Benson, Jaden Blue, Bashal Tutin, Najee Harris, or Braylon Allen? Lou, which one do you want?
In redraft, it's Braylon Allen. For me, it's second to that is probably Najee. But the other guys are at least a step down from the others. I think there's a very, very good chance that Braylon Allen is the RB1 for the Jets later on this year. For whatever weird reason, that
I
coaching
don't
staff absolutely
disagree.
loves him.
Yeah.
For what Aaron Glenn and company loves him over Breece Hall. And yeah,
he isn't even 21 yet. He hasn't turned 21 until a couple weeks into the season. Evan, Najee and Braylon for you on this list as well, or is somebody else you like more?
I was just about to answer quickly. It's Najee for me. I think Najee Harris is going to get the most work out of all of these guys this season. Out of all these other rookies who have to prove themselves on the field, I don't believe that. I mean, Najee, I don't know if I can say with certainty that he's going to see consistent volume all year long, but at this time of year, it's Najee will at least be splitting some work with Omarion Hampton until Hampton shows that he's ready to be the main guy, taking away work from Najee. But the thing is, too, Jim Harbaugh wanted to get Najee Harris on the roster just because he liked him that much. Somebody in the comments mentioned that he even tried to recruit him to Michigan at one point, which I don't even know if that's true, but I can look into that later. I'm not with Lou on the Braylon Allen hype. I think Breece Hall is still the guy. Braylon will be the change of pace guy at his age. I know it's tempting to believe that they're going to screw this up because it's the Jets, but just because the regime changes doesn't mean that they're going to do away with the guys that were with the previous regime. Breece Hall is still the guy as long as he's healthy, and I don't see him losing work to Braylon Allen right away.
Oh, man. So I got to pick a side here. No, this isn't fun, guys. Because obviously for me, there's Dylan Sampson should be in consideration because I do think he ends up starting at some point because I just don't think Judkins sees that roster this year. Trey Benson we could talk about because of James Conner's getting older and we keep waiting for him to fall off a cliff and it hasn't happened yet. Obviously, I like Jaden Blue a lot in Dallas. I think he's talented enough to take over that running back room, but I wouldn't bank on it in this situation. Same thing with Tootin. I'm going to have to say Braylon Allen because I really do. And I have, and everything that I've read coming out of camps and coming into the season is that he's really earned a more consistent role. And the coaching staff doesn't necessarily love Breece Hall. So yeah, Najee's going to see consistent volume, but he only has one eye. I don't know how I feel about a Pirate running back. So we're going to go with Braylon Allen and we're going to move on to the next question.
It's a shame Najee's not a Buccaneer.
Or Raider, it was right there. It was right there.
Tron Force has got a 12-team PPR. This is an auction league. Jaden Daniels, Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, DK Metcalf, Travis Hunter, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Warren, Travis Eckler, Austin Eckler, Jerome Ford, and JCM. Any suggestions to improve? I'm going to be honest. I really like this roster, but I'd try and move off of Tyreek. Lou, what do you think?
It's a little. I'm guessing the DK Travis Hunter Cup, that's the bench because they're separated out from the others. If Tyreek and McLaurin are your starting wide receivers, I think that's okay. I'm with Nate on moving off Tyreek. I think your DK, Hunter, Cup, Tyreek, those four in particular, if you can, whether it's packaging them with other players or that sort of thing to improve that wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3, I think you've got a lot of players in there that I am not excited about starting in any week this year. Maybe Hunter grows into something down the year, but I'm a bit more skeptical of that than I know most people are, at least at the outset.
Sure.
So I'm looking for someone to be more consistent. It's something stinks in Miami, and its last name is Hill.
It does, right? Evan, how do you feel about this?
I mean, I don't love Tyreek Hill either this year, but I wouldn't say he's at a point where you absolutely have to move off of him right now. Tyreek Hill is going to be a guy every year on week 1. He always explodes for incredible PPR points. And if you want to trade him high after week 1, I'd be fine with that, considering the condition of his body and the age that he's been through over the years. I mean, you're going to do what you want with your roster in the end anyway. But to be frank, it's like there's no other suggestions I could say to improve just because we haven't even played any football yet. It's only week 1. I can't see the rest of your league. So in the context of YouTube comments, there's nothing I can really say that's helpful.
All right. I still think you should move off of Tyreek Hill, and I do find that helpful. Here's why, though. I just want to explain myself on this for a minute. He didn't get voted captain. He's been weird all offseason. He said that this is the first time he feels like he's actually going to focus on football during the season, which I don't believe. He's getting older. The speed's not necessarily there. Tua's not that good of a quarterback, if you ask me personally. And they've got Jalen Waddle. And I think they're going to feed Jalen Waddle more than they feed Tyreek Hill. I think he's going to get frustrated. I don't know that he stays on the team through the season. I know that's a big prediction, but it seems like there could be some Antonio Brown in him. Yeah, but I feel like there could be some Antonio Brown in him where he just gets pissed off and is like, you know what? I'm done. I'm retiring. I've made my money. I'm out.
Is Tyreek a trade deadline guy?
Probably,
not
if he's still on the team.
No, the big thing is going to be his salary.
Miami would eat some of it, I bet, to get rid of him, though. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, listen, there's plenty of teams out there that have salary caps that they could do it. And what team in the NFL doesn't need a guy with Tyreek Hill's skills? I will say, do they need Tyreek Hill? No, maybe not necessarily. Maybe they don't want Tyreek Hill, but they could sure use his skills. I can pretty much guarantee you that.
Well, this is a fantastic transition to our last segment, End of the Road Vets, of which Tyreek Hill's name is on this list. But this is something in Dynasty that can really screw teams and put you into rebuild mode quicker than you ever wanted to be. If you hold on to a veteran for too long and don't move off of them, and then they're dead on your roster and you've got nothing in return. We've all done it, but here's some guys that we're going to talk about right now. Some aging veterans that we think it's probably time to move off of, but maybe not. We've got Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford at quarterback. We've got DeAndre Hopkins, Davante Adams, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Cooper Kupp. These names were all once great, and if you had a lineup with these guys in it, you were golden. You felt championship bound. Not so much anymore. Lou, out of this list, are there any of these guys that you feel like are worth holding on to this season?
Yes, and for me, it's Davante Adams. He's in a perfect kind of end of career situation. And wide receiver is also deep enough where if your roster you can look at your roster and say, okay, looking at 2026, if I take Davante Adams off of it, I'm still generally okay. Davante Adams, he's 32 right now. I mean, that is getting pretty ancient in terms of wide receiver age. And some wide receivers simply age better. I mean, not that he's Jerry Rice, but Jerry Rice played until he was 40, and I still have no idea how that happened. We have guys, Wes Welker's playing until he's 37, 38 years old. Davante Adams is that kind of technician and perfectionist in his craft that I could see him doing it, especially with the Rams, where you've got guys like Puka Nacua to be the stud wide receiver one that terrifies a defense, and Matt Stafford, who, okay, his back doesn't work, but his arm has been touched by the football gods. I mean, that's kind of a perfect retirement, if you will, for Davante Adams' football career. That's the kind of vet that I'm okay with riding into the sunset with, and even probably for a month or two after he officially retires, just kind of, as a thank you for your service.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I've got him at wide receiver 17 in my draft rankings. My weekly rankings are coming out in a couple hours here once I have time to tighten them up after the show. He was wide receiver 10 last year. Garrett Wilson was wide receiver 8. With Aaron Rodgers also on this list, get rid of him, ditch him. He's going undrafted in redraft. You don't need him on your roster. I'd say the same with Flacco and Wilson. Be done with them. But Davante Adams I think he is the guy on this list where I'm looking at him like I'm not ready to move on from him, and I don't think I'm ready to move on from Travis Kelce either. Because I think he's got this year plus he's another one of those ride off into the sunset. as soon as he feels like there's going to be a production decline, the guy's going to retire. He's getting married to the most famous person in the entire freaking world. Like, he's playing for fun now. And as soon as he's not having fun, he's not going to play anymore. So I'm going to ride him off into the sunset as well. But other than that, those are the only two guys on this list. Evan, who are you taking?
Davante Adams, Mike Evans. I'll even make a case for Calvin Ridley and Stephon Diggs, as well as Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill, I think, still will have that week 1 value, like I mentioned earlier, but after that week 1, you better trade him away, because I don't know if he's healthy enough to continue having wide receiver 1 production in this stage of his career. Cooper Kupp, I don't think is looking as good thanks to all the injuries that he's had during his days on the Rams, where I think on the Seahawks, he'll be a fine low-end wide receiver too, but Calvin Ridley is going to be heavily relied on by Cam Ward in his Calvin Ridley, I think, is in his late 20s still, if I'm not mistaken. 29?
28, isn't he?
Nope. He turns 31 this year.
Okay, so he's still in his early 30s, and he missed like 1 or 2 seasons due to being suspended for gambling or whatever that case was. Davante Adams and Mike Evans are 2 guys that I'm fine holding that bag, I say in air quotes, holding their shares in Dynasty until they're ready to retire, because they're going to produce as long as they can get on that field. I think it's totally fine. I'm out on all the quarterbacks that we listed, and DeAndre Hopkins is just in Baltimore for fun to be with Lamar and Derrick Henry.
That pretty much
win that ring before he goes.
Yeah, right. Bad news, guys. It ain't going to happen for DeAndre Hopkins. He ain't winning a ring in Baltimore. They're not a Super Bowl team.
I hope not.
Either.
Hey, you especially got to hope not, Lou, because I know how it is in the AFC.
Yeah. Are there any of these guys you think you can? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, no, it's just the reason I'm the one that threw Calvin Ridley on that list, and part of the reason I did is because I don't think people realize, and as you two proved, how old Calvin Ridley actually is. He turns 31 in December. 31 is in the age cliff for wide receivers. Like, that is maybe a guy is going to continue producing at an elite level after that point, but the odds of it happening just get reduced so dramatically. And unless you think Calvin Ridley is that Davante Adams type of talent and wide receiver, you really got to start thinking. I agree that he's going to be productive, but if in a dynasty mindset, if you are not looking to move that for something that is going to continue to build your team going forward, I believe that is a mistake with Ridley specifically.
I'm going to agree with Lou here. I get what you're saying, Evan, and I do think he will be productive this year. I think Cam Ward's going to target these veteran guys. I think there's a market for Tyler Lockett a little bit too in that offense, because past Ridley and Lockett, what do you have? Like Minor.
DK, baby.
Love. Oh, stop it.
Jiggle Conquo. What are you talking about?
Van Jefferson. We're just going to say names. We got David Martin Robinson back there behind Chig. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I do think he will be valuable this season in redraft, but from a dynasty perspective, you got to get rid of him. So this brings me to my next question. Evan, if you're trying to move Calvin Ridley or any of these guys, who do you think will actually get a return out of this group if you can try and move them over the next couple of weeks in Dynasty?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Who's going to get the most return trying to trade Ridley?
Who do you think you can? No, out of all these players, Calvin Ridley included, who do you think you can actually get a worthwhile return for right now versus some of these vets? Because you're not going to get anything from Joe Flacco. You're not going to get anything from Russell Wilson. But who are the guys on this list that you can actually get something for in return right now if you move them in the next couple of weeks?
I think it's got to be Davante Adams, because he looks the best out of all of these guys as far as production and how well he runs his routes on the field and how well he produces. Travis Kelce is definitely plummeting in value, being that a lot of people got scared of his lack of production in the first, 4 or 5 weeks of last season. And he was fine after Rashee Rice missed time, and a lot of people believe that Rice was taking all the targets away from Travis Kelce. But it's like what we were talking about earlier. The Chiefs just don't have a true number one in that offense, and they're going to move things around, such as the way more offenses are moving in the NFL, like the Bills and the Packers, where they just want to get the ball in the hands of whoever's open, regardless of what we think in the fantasy football world. So that being said, I think it's still going to be Davante Adams, being that he is going to slide in as the outside and occasional slot wide receiver 2 outside of Puka Nacua. Stafford's arm is still fantastic, even though he's being held together by metaphorical duct tape and bubblegum. So, well, I think that will give you the most value in return.
Yeah, I think Davante Adams is probably my guy too. I still do think you can get enough for Travis Kelce that he's worth dealing if you can. If you've already got another tight end on your roster who will suffice to throw in, move Kelce for what you can get as well. Other than that, I mean, are people biting for Mike Evans, Lou?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so here's the thing overall about Dynasty, right? Is that we can sit here and talk in generalities, and that's great, and what we think about things. But we also, all three of us, understand that every league is its own little mini economy. What I can do in my league is not what these guys can do in their leagues, and it's not necessarily what you can do in your league. So please take all of this with a giant grain of salt and saying that, oh yeah, I think you can do this because I did it. I understand that I might be the odd one out here. Yeah. It's all about finding the right trade partner for these guys. All of them, because of their age, you're going to be looking to move them to someone that fancies themselves as a contender. And the reason I said they put it that way, they fancy themselves, is because we are pre-week 1 right now. There are a lot of teams that think they're contenders that are not. It might be you watching. I'm hoping that because you are here watching us, you're taking in Optimus content. You are better than your league mates. We would expect you to be better. We're going to help you be better. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. But anyhow, so if you think you're a contender, I think you're probably right. That being said, those contenders, those people that see themselves as contenders, they should be your targets for these guys. I think you can probably get something for Mike Evans. Maybe not a first, maybe not a 2026 first, but maybe a 2027 first. Yeah. You'd be surprised what people are willing to give up. And I think you can probably, let me see here, for the Evans, the Adams, the Hill, I think you can probably get a future first for any one of those wide receivers, maybe even a first plus for some of them once points start coming in. You know, if Tyreek blows up week 1, the way Evan was saying, if Ridley shows out this year, you know, for a few weeks, that sort of thing, you're probably going to see those prices go up a bit because the Dynasty community is very reactionary and we love to take advantage of it.
So,
and you know how.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to add on to what Lou said. You know how it is in a lot of these Superflex Dynasty leagues where you have guys like Rodgers, Flacco, Wilson, and Stafford who are starters, and you have the shareholders being like, oh, he's starting? Well, I want a first in return for him. Yep. Yeah, dream on, buddy. You're not getting a first for any of those 4 quarterbacks.
No. I don't even think you could get a third.
Not even.
Maybe Stafford if you've got a contending team that has a quarterback get hurt. At some point during the season. Yeah, I think that's going to be.
That's the thing. People get weird in season, man. Like I could understand it if you're down to one quarterback and that one quarterback gets hurt and you need Matt Stafford because he's having a halfway decent year in this offense. I could see giving up what I would expect to be a late 2nd round pick for him. I don't love it. I don't think it's good value, and I understand the move if you have to do it. Because it's about winning championships. And if that gets you that championship, then it's worth it.
Well, and Evan, like what you were saying earlier, so much of what we say on these shows, it's in a vacuum, right? Like we don't know what your league situation is. So we're going to do the best to give you the advice that we can give you with what we know.
I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best not to complain about the in a vacuum stuff because I'm the biggest whiner when it comes to the in a vacuum stuff. I hate it with a passion. So I'll still do my best to try and help you all as Lou's choking on his water there.
Well, you jerk.
We'll always do our best to help you guys, even if it is in a vacuum. We're just here to help you guys win leagues. That's the whole reason we're here. Guys, it's been a great first Dynasty show. This is a blast. We'll be back in 2 weeks with just a little bit of a trade value check in on your leagues, nice short little show. But then first Thursday next month, the three of us will be back for the full on Dynasty Show here. Same time, same bat channel. If you didn't pick up on it earlier, we've got all sorts of data tools to help you guys out, plus a league manager. We've got EPA reports. We've got snap share reports. We've got a custom report builder, trade analyzers. We've got it all. Head over to tools.optimusfantasy.com. 50% off just this week off of your first month with the code week1. Next week, next show, we'll have a nice little ad from our boy Smokey. Just didn't have time to get it pulled and edited and popped up here, but we're excited for that. You can find us all on our social handles down below. We're all on Blue Sky. You can find me, Lou. We're on Twitter a little bit here and there, just posting some content if you're around there. Check out our Facebook page, but most importantly, head over to Discord. The link is in the show description. If you're watching this after we aired live, you can give us your questions on Discord. Lou desperately wants to answer them, guys. He wants it so bad. Happy football, folks. We have a game tonight. Cowboys, Eagles. Beggars can't be choosers. We know who's going to win this game. I will take the live football. Lou, parting words for our wonderful Dynasty nerds out there.
Yeah, this is great. Remember, week one is here. Week one is coming. We are not buying or selling because of what happens week one. We are playing Dynasty. We are in this for the long haul. This is not redraft. I'm begging you not to treat it like redraft plus. I understand others might, but we're here to tell you to not treat it like that, so that way you can take advantage of the people who do.
Evan, parting words for our people.
I want to mirror what Lou said, because Dynasty really is the long game. And when you get overreactionary to what happens with your shares of players after any given week mid-season, that's a great way to lose your league. You really have to wait it out, especially with the vast majority of newer players in the league, where you have to wait 2 full seasons in order to see what they really have to offer in the NFL, which is especially notorious with tight ends. Running backs has become that way too. So slow your roll. Don't get overly emotional about how little you think your fantasy players are producing in Dynasty. Let it ride out and aim for that championship like we all want to do.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. Guys, I want to know, see English. He's got Dallas plus 9.5. Do they cover that spread?
I'm just wondering what happens if Skip Bayless ends up being right, where he's glad Micah Parsons is gone and Dallas ends up beating the Eagles.
No, that won't happen. Skip Bayless is a moron. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they cover.
I don't think they do either.
There's no way Dallas covers that. Lou's thinking hard here. He's got a calculator going.
All right. So I'm good. I don't bet at all. So I've got no skin in this game whatsoever. I'm going to say that they do, just because of dumb Thursday night football week one shenanigans where they score a meaningless touchdown with like 20 seconds left to cover, and you just see people, I hate the NFL, I hate football, and it will make social media so wonderful.
Were there any good Thursday night games last year? I think there were 0. Let's hope we have a better Thursday night football schedule this year, fellas.
What?
Oh, are you kidding? The Amari Cooper to Josh Allen pitch in the snow was on Thursday night football. That was a great game.
Oh, you loved it.
Yeah.
A resident Bills fan over here. We got Cat for Life in the chat saying football. Yes, we're all very thrilled. You know, it's cool to do this and to be an analyst and to get to toy with it all off season. We're constantly in football mode. But then when the season comes, man, all this just hits different, because now we're going to have real stuff to talk about tomorrow, Lou, and I can't freaking wait. Yeah. We wake up tomorrow with real football having been played and another game coming on Friday. You gotta love it. Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody who tuned in, everybody who's watching after, everyone who has listened to the audio version here. We appreciate it so much. Again, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a short, just little market temperature check for you. And then the first Thursday of October, we'll be back with our full-on Dynasty show. We will start going much more often in the off season, but right now we're in redraft world. So we're just going to go with the occasional shows to help you guys out. But please make sure you're checking out the channel. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. We have stuff for all of your leagues. We have DFS, redraft. We've got it all. Waiver wire starts it. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of it. For Lou Brunson and Evan Sather, I'm Nate Polvogt at Optimus Fantasy. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.